Hello everyone, my name is Tarra. This is the last video I'm doing today. This one is about SA and women's health. In the last video I hinted at the fact that someone in my young years spiked my drink and I'm pretty sure had their way with me. I was very young, and the memories are just coming to me in like flashes every so often, and they're scary. It wasn't long ago that I was doing a video with someone. It was a podcast of sorts with a group of people from around Canada. One of those people just so happened that, and truly believed, that women should not have the right to abort their child, much less have access to certain medications to prevent pregnancy. Well, I'm coming at you as not only a disabled person, but as a woman who's been SA'd. And I'm going to say this loud and clear for those in the back that can't frickin' hear. If you're a male, your part in creating a child only lasts for a few minutes. For us women, it's 9 fucking months. Do you understand the pain that a woman has to go through? Do you understand the hormonal imbalances that go along with pregnancy? Until you do, shut your fucking mouth. And I'm going to be dead blunt about this. When it comes to my health, my rights, no man has the right to say what I am entitled to. And yes, I am going to say entitled. As a woman, I am entitled to birth control, which I was on for many years because I did not want to have a child or get pregnant. I'm entitled to have a hysterectomy, which I had when I was 23 because I got sick. Very sick. Now, here's the problem that I see for those out in the back that can't hear this. Say your little 13-year-old little girl got SA'd by some Neanderthal. Yeah, your views are on religion. But your perspective? What happens if that little girl got pregnant? Did you know the physiology of a little girl under the age of 14 to 16 years old is not only more likely to have a disabled child, but because her hips are not fully developed enough, and neither is her body, she is more likely a high chance of dying from that pregnancy. And so would that child. So you saying that your little girl who was SA'd should not have the right to have that choice of aborting or keeping that child, and that poor little girl has to go through 9 months of pain, agony, trauma, only to find herself in, maybe she wasn't disabled before, but she's going to be after that pregnancy. I can guarantee you that. Because mental health plays on you for the rest of your life. She will become disabled because you forced her to have that baby. Now, let's put things on the line here and air it out for everyone to hear. Anyone that thinks that a woman should not have the right to abortion or the right to birth control is sadly misinformed. What happens if it was your wife and she got cancer of the uterus, but she was also pregnant? Would you force her to have that baby, despite the fact that her medical condition, if she were to have that child, would kill her? Or the baby, or both? Who would you save, the baby or the wife? Tough one, isn't it, guys? Tough one. But hey, it's your call. You don't want to believe in pregnancy? Then do what most of the women in the 1940s did, or belief goes. Put the nickel between your legs and see how long that lasts until a baby is born. I bet you anything it doesn't. Yes, I know birth control and condoms are not 100 proof. But if your child, and I'm going to speak from experience, every child experiments with sex whether you like it or not, at some point of their teenage life. And I am glad my mom did what she did with me when I was 15. Otherwise, I would have been pregnant at barely 15 years old. A baby bearing a baby. Kids deserve to be kids. They should not be forced to be adults before their time. Now, if the child chooses to play, give them the tools necessary to protect themselves so that they can be educated. Birth control isn't just from keeping you from being grandma at a young age. It also helps regulate certain hormones that happen to be in children. It helped me. Because some women have such bad cramps, such bad periods that it's painful and they miss school. That birth control allowed me to go to school. Yeah, I still had PMS, but you know what? My periods weren't as heavy. I didn't go through so many cramps because Midol didn't help, to be honest. And when you're a hormonal teenager, the last thing you want is pain. You're at the age where you're trying to discover yourself, who you are, where you belong, how you fit in, even within your own demographic, your own age group. You're trying to figure out what set of peers or people are good or bad, and when you have a disability for which doesn't allow you to understand, you're more likely to be hurt twice as much. I was bullied going to school, and I didn't understand the social structures and environments around me. And when you're a girl with a disability that doctors didn't know what you had, and NOS, not otherwise specified, was the diagnosis, or the R word was blanketed clear across every disability back in my time. And segregation and special schools were the going thing, and that's all that was available. It's even harder for you to fit in, especially when classes became more inclusive and more centralized so that people with disabilities weren't amongst the regular crowd. But there came a problem with that, and I don't know if it's happening today, but I'm pretty sure it is, where people like me with a disability get teased, harassed, in every sense of the word, by students of their peers, some of them older. Yeah, you might get invited to parties, but the reality is, if you get invited to parties, sometimes, pardon me, you find that you're the one holding up, you're the disabled person holding up the plant pot because nobody wants to include you or be around you because you're different. You don't have to be in a wheelchair to be bullied. You just have to be different. And if you're in a small town, Everyone knows your business. And everyone knows that you're the odd kid. So not only are you not accepted in your own school and in your own peers, but you're also not accepted in your own town. That's what it was like for me growing up in BC. And if my mom didn't put me on some kind of birth control to not only help me regulate my periods, I'd be pregnant with a child today. Or I would be pregnant with a child at 16 or even 15. And I thank her every day that she did that. Even though it caused some health issues later on in life. You know what? My mom did the best she could for what she knew. And for what was available to her at the time. If I didn't have that hysterectomy, the endometriosis would have killed me. If I wasn't on birth control before I had a hysterectomy, the jerk that spiked my drink and had his way with me, I'd be pregnant with an unwanted child. Most likely. I can't say how many times that certain aspects of my health and my well-being, if I was not allowed access to it because some patriarchal society said I had no rights, I swear I'd be dead by now. For you men or women out there that say that women should not have access to any of these things, I'm going to say this once. I'm pro-choice. And I'm going to say that if I had gotten pregnant at 23 with an unwanted child due to SA and someone spiking my drink, or SA as a small child at 13 because I was an early developer, I would only hope that at 13 my mom, if she found out that I was pregnant, would take me to an abortion center. I would hope that at 23, that if I had gotten pregnant, no one would judge me for saying I don't want this child, and that I would not be judged for something that I felt wasn't right for me. It's none of your business as to whether or not a woman chooses to keep or not keep a child. It is none of your business whether or not a woman is on birth control or a teenager is on birth control. A woman does things not for your benefit. They do it for theirs. And it's not your business. It's not your call. And frankly, as far as I see it, until a man can give birth to a child, that's when you actually have say. Because as much as some men do and have experienced SA, there's a lot of men out there that are very out there, like I am, on this subject, where it says that men have not the choice or the judgment call to tell women that they should not have access to such things. As a matter of fact, I think there should be more education on women's health, especially for the disability community, in concerns of aging and or developing. We teach it to neurotypical children. Why don't we teach it to our disabled children in the way that they learn? Half the shit that I learned in certain educational aspects in public school dealing with the human body and development was not taught in the way that I needed to learn. A lot of the stuff that I knew came from my mother's lips. The rest I looked up on my own. There needs to be more studies on women's health, especially when it comes to aging aspects like menopause, getting older, especially if you're neurodiverse. Because hormones are not just for babies. They help you keep your mind regular. They help your brain work normally. And when estrogen or progesterone or testosterone falls, so does your brain function. How do you think dementia is developed? Just saying. And if I were you, for those that think that these aspects are just about murdering children when it comes to abortion, the trauma that goes along with being pregnant and having to carry an unwanted child can last a lifetime. Mind you, so can the trauma of aborting a child. But I tell you, sometimes a person has to do that in order for them to function normally. Yeah, it's a sad aspect that a child had to die. But maybe there was a reason for that child that was developing inside the mother that had to go. Maybe it was financial. Yeah, I know, you're going to tell me, oh, but there's lots of family planned classes. Well, what happens if you have a disability and you were SA'd and you don't have the cognitive sense to develop or much less conceptualize what they're trying to fucking teach you? That happens a lot in group homes and as well as foster homes, by the way. I don't have to experience that aspect because I had foster brothers and sisters. My husband, some people I know personally were in the foster care system. And the stories that came out of that would just floor you. And I'm going to say this just once. If you're in the system, you are more likely to face more abuse other than the abuse that you escaped from because of the system. As in your natural biological parents abusing you. I'm going to be honest and quite blunt. Though you think abortion is murder, a lot of the times when someone is forced to carry and keep a child because of your view, you're probably causing that person more harm or child more harm than you would to, say, letting a child abort. Because the stigma of unwed mothers is still big even today. The judgment that goes with it. Kids are mean. Kids are nasty. Those unwed mothers end up on social service because Daddy Dearest didn't want to be a daddy. And you men have that option. Think about it. You're not the one getting pregnant, but yet you impregnated her because she allowed you into her bed. You had your way with her. And now she's pregnant. You're not in the picture. Who's going to help her bring up that child? Who's going to be there for that child when mommy's sick? And if mommy happens to have a disability severe enough, how is she going to take care of that baby when she can barely take care of herself? We got to think about these things. But anyone that spews that abortion is murder and there's family management classes and there's always adoption. Well, not every woman wants to go through 9 months of being a beach ball and pushing out something the size of a watermelon out the size of a penny. Just because you think that person should be forced to have or deliver a baby. Especially if it's a severely disabled person, or a person that was SA'd, or a person that is a child. In these situations, the line needs to be drawn, and your views are skewed. It's none of your business. And I don't care what your views are. Anyone who forces somebody to do something just because you think it's wrong might be causing more harm than good. Think about what you say or do online. And if you don't have the balls to say something, don't say it at all. Keep your damn views to yourself. Because those views are hurting people just like me. They're hurting women who have been traumatized because of abuse, who have been through abuse so many times that they're too scared to say something. Some kids who experimented and did teenage stuff are from families that are dysfunctional. And sometimes the only love they get is from the company of another who they choose to be with for a night or however long they date. Teenagers are young, and I remember being a teenager. I wasn't the sharpest pencil in the box. And when you're full of raging hormones, the last thing you think about is birth control or the condom. It's how pregnancy starts. Whether or not you have the education, whatever they teach in schools, if they teach it anymore in schools, or not. Kids will be kids. They will do what they do. And frankly, it should be up to the child and the parent as to what they do with that child. Maybe abortion is the only answer. Maybe giving the child birth control and putting a condom in your goddamn son's wallet. Who cares if it gets used as a balloon as long as you keep some on hand and you stuff one in his wallet every day? Parents who do that, I commend them. Parents who educate their disabled children that are able to conceptualize the biology of birth and what have you. I also commend you. And I thank my mother for teaching me all she knew about sex and pregnancy and birth control and other aspects of women's health. Because I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for mothers like mine. And if you're so prude not to teach your little girl about those things, then you're setting your daughter up for failure. Lack of knowledge means more pregnancy or early pregnancy. Just saying. Thanks.